Apparently, unk status seems to be the most embarrassing, insulting thing a man can experience on God's green earth. Because as soon as I was done with Monday Night Raw, that is the thing that's ringing in my head. I'm gonna be honest, it kind of felt anticlimactic. Rewinding for a second, every single week on Monday Night Raw when we had Roman and Punk go at it on the microphone, it's been golden. This match really screams WrestleMania, especially because the World Heavyweight Championship is the title on the line, not the WWE title. This time there's no Seth Rollins in the picture, there's not even Paul Heyman in the picture really. Like last year's Triple Threat Night 1's main event, this is just two of the best going at it on the microphone. And really they're bringing out the best out of each other. At least Punk's bringing out the best in Roman. Punk can obviously go on the microphone anyway. Speaking so much of Punk going on the microphone, he desecrated Roman Reigns a couple of weeks ago on Raw. Now, I'm not sitting here saying I was expecting Roman Reigns to come out and start talking about alcohol problem in CM Punk's family, similar to what Chris Jericho did over a decade ago, I believe it was. Nor was I hoping for him to come out and lay out CM Punk straight away with the right hand. I did like the angle they took, consolidating with the Usos. Roman Reigns was backstage, touching on last week's events, and I'm so glad the Usos did not come out in unison with Roman Reigns, because that would have just felt off. This is not 2022, 2023 anymore. This is a different chapter. And the segment was fine. It was very enjoyable. I'm always sports entertained when these two are on my screen leading into the main event of WrestleMania, and they are doing a bit of a nuanced aspect here. The whole angle of who's getting under whose skin. Roman not letting the emotions get the better of him. Punk thinking, you know, his loudmouth is always one step ahead. He's under the skin of Roman Reigns, and that's what's going to get him to topple the consistent WrestleMania main eventer in Roman Reigns. So I love this angle. I do like this angle. They're both not trying to let, you know, their guard down, not trying to show too much vulnerability, too much exposure to the other individual. But the final statement of Roman Reigns to CM Punk, in other words, was basically saying you're too old. And that's what set CM Punk off. I'll start with the positives. It was cool to see Punk be the one to actually lay out Roman Reigns. It shows the tribal chief is playing chess. He's not actually playing checkers. Perhaps Punk, who thought he was playing chess, might actually be the one playing checkers, because in this angle, let's be honest, if we're talking about mind games, I mean, Roman Reigns even alluded to it in the promo. If we're talking about mind games and we're talking about on the microphone, Punk is 99% of the time ahead of whoever his opponent is, unless it's John Cena. So, with that predictability, you would have thought Roman's going to be the one to knock the shit out of Punk, especially after what was said about his father a couple of weeks ago. But I do like how they changed this. I'm just not sure or certain enough that the words that came out of Roman Reigns were the ones to set CM Punk off. I mean, Roman briefly mentioned AJ Lee, his wife, not in necessarily a bad aspect, but still brought up his wife's name in his mouth.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth!
And with how thick-skinned CM Punk has and all the verbal beefs he's been in and fights and all that sort of stuff. And on top of that, if you add, I'm sure someone's used this. I'm sure Drew McIntyre's mentioned CM Punk's age, because he's in his late 40s. And I know most certainly Bron Breakker's been going out there calling people's ages out.
What? You're 47! What are you gonna do?
And Punk's never really batted an eye. We know this man who's a seasoned veteran who can go blow to blow in the microphone. Something of that magnitude set off an insecurity, because this is the angle they're playing, guys. We need to understand this is the angle. I'm not mad at the angle. I actually love the angle they're taking from both of them bickering on the mic and insulting each other, now to going into playing mind games. Who's going to get the one up from a mental perspective before they get physical in the main event of WrestleMania 42. But it's just hard for me to gather my head around how being too old is what set the infamous Mr. Pipe Bomb off. I think it could have been anything else. I know we were thinking Larry, CM Punk's late dog, was going to be mentioned. That probably would have been maybe a bit more justified in the eyes of CM Punk losing his marbles. But then one can argue, is this just like tit for tat? You mentioned one of my family members, I'm going to mention one of your family members who's no longer around. I just don't know. I just don't know how to feel about that being the statement. That being the one that set Punk up. Because the entire segment, I mean, ever since, you know, a couple of weeks ago, Punk was trying to play chess with Roman, you know? He was trying to get under the skin. He felt like he had done the job. That's why he mentioned Seeker.
The shit's chess, it ain't checkers.
So he had that smug look on his face the entire night on this edition of Monday Night Raw. And it was going so well till he just says, in other words, you're an unk. And Punk just loses his shit. Punk's walking out the arena, the rampway, and you can see he's like, shit, did I lose my edge? Did I give away my position? Roman's laughing. I love what they did with Roman. I love that he was like, this is what set you off. And I know I'm nitpicking here, but I think they just set the bar so high with this entire segment and saga that they're having leading into the main event of WrestleMania, where I just don't expect anything subpar. And I'm not saying this segment was subpar, it wasn't. I was just expecting a bit more. Even if the entire segment, Roman kind of felt like he played it safe, that's okay. I know what he's trying to do, guys. He's trying to play chess, not checkers. Totally on board with that, love that. But the statement, the final blow should not have been, you're too old. I know we've got more appearances of the OTC, so let's see what comes from this. And now moving on to my second Raw thought, the actual opening of the show. This opening of the show was freaking immaculate. I was so hooked to my TV, just excited for what the hell's going on. You had Seth Rollins and his bowling pins come out, all shuffling about and everything, which still honestly looks so ridiculous. Paul Heyman in his Oscar-winning aura as always, coming out looking like he's not had a shower or shaved. Someone gave him a legit pink eye. I legit think he has a pink eye there. I don't know what that man does for the sake of our entertainment. God bless Paul Heyman. But he came out, told such a great story, all whilst Seth Rollins was delivering a promo to CM Punk in the middle of the ring. And with rumors going on, you know, we don't know what's fixed at WrestleMania. Who is Brock Lesnar's opponent going to be? A lot of people were saying potentially it's going to be Seth Rollins, even though most of us wanted Oba Femi. Out comes Lesnar, which made a whole lot of sense. I would have been a bit like, what are we doing if Brock Lesnar had no association here? Because he's still, you know, he's still in cahoots with Paul Heyman. At the slightest, we should have at least had a confrontation between Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins. And the WWE did every single thing I mentioned, including setting up the match with Oba Femi, all in one opening segment, which was freaking amazing. One thing I will say, however, when Brock Lesnar came out and took out those masked men looking like bowling pins, some of them got flipped around and I was like, holy shit. Like, bear in mind, this is outside. I know this is matted. I know there are sports mats outside of the ring, but it's still not exactly the ring. There's probably not as much give or bounce as you do on the ring. Plus you've got the barricade. Lesnar was tossing some of these, I mean, he made them look like lightweights. I'm sure they're not lightweights in average society norms, but in front of Brock Lesnar, it was like throwing kendo sticks around. And some of these guys landed very awkwardly. Fast forward, we get a really, really cool showdown with Lesnar and Rollins. And this is what makes professional wrestling very special. It's not done all the time. It's seldom done, but when they have confrontations, showdowns, not with the two individuals that are actually going to be opponents, but they're just addressing the story canon. Lesnar being close to Paul Heyman, Rollins having beef with Paul Heyman not really having anyone else other than the two stooges in Logan Paul and Austin Theory. Bronson Reed, Bron Breakker, the heavies are out. He needs to rely on another heavy. Knock, knock, here comes Brock Lesnar. That little mini showdown where we initially thought for the first couple of minutes of Monday Night Raw, this is going to be the match for Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. But no, we told a great story. We know Seth Rollins' shoulder's not completely healed yet. He can't really go head to head with Brock Lesnar, especially in a fight right now. So to save face, we get a great showdown between Rollins and Lesnar, and out comes Oba Femi to a thunderous ovation. Like that San Antonio, Texas crowd, you guys were a joy to watch. And now we have the matchup for Brock Lesnar and Oba Femi at WrestleMania, which is exactly what we wanted. Curious and keen to see what happens with Rollins. I still don't think Rollins is going to go after Logan Paul or Austin Theory. It doesn't make any sense. In fact, they kind of addressed that. You're going to have Logan and Theory go after the tag team titles that Usos are currently holding. I believe that's going to be at WrestleMania. So the only other thing I can put two and two together with is Bron Breakker's almost ready to come back. Probably going to be a short build, but it's okay because the build's already there. I mean, the story's already there between all the Vision members, Seth Rollins being excommunicated and Bron Breakker being the new head honcho. And if this happens to be the case, I'm not going to lie to you. I know this WrestleMania has been controversial in terms of its location, number one, and number two, the WrestleMania season not hitting, but it's really starting to hit all of us slap bang in the face, and I'm all here for it. Because if we have Oba Femi, Brock Lesnar, of course we have CM Punk, Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship. We have Randy Orton, a heel Randy Orton, by the way, which weird little segment backstage. It looked like he was recorded on a potato, but who the hell it was Randy Orton talking to? I mean, the only fingers that point correctly are towards The Rock. So we've got Randy, heel Randy, and Cody Rhodes for the championship. Is The Rock going to show up? And now if we can get Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker, guys, this is going to be a freaking A+ WrestleMania just with the lineup itself. So I'm happy to say WrestleMania season is hitting. It's hitting good. It's hitting strong. And I'm ready for 4 weeks. Allegiant Stadium once again, WrestleMania 42. Let me know your guys' thoughts. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.